Barcelona has a striker problem. They've had it for months. They still haven't solved it. And now they're about to spend 50 million euros on a Ballon d'Or winner. The problem? He's not a striker. And somehow, Barcelona may have just beaten Real Madrid to him. No reliable number 9. 87 million euros spent last summer. Still no solution. Barcelona have the possession. They create the chances. What they don't have is someone to finish them. Wingers are being asked to become finishers. Midfielders are being asked to compensate for a missing striker. This isn't new. This has been building for years. Every summer, a new name. Every summer, the same ending. No signing. No solution. And it's not just about goals scored. It's about what the absence does to everything else. A team without a reliable striker plays differently. More cautiously. More possession for possession's sake, because nobody trusts the final ball to actually end in a goal. Opponents notice. They sit deeper. They dare Barcelona to break them down, knowing that even total control of the ball doesn't guarantee a result. So naturally, when Barcelona entered the transfer market again, everyone expected the same thing. A striker. They went for Rodri instead. Ballon d'Or winner. The best midfielder alive, by most accounts. The engine of Manchester City's entire system for 4 years straight. 4 years. And Manchester City have not lost a Premier League match when he starts and finishes it. Not once. Managers changed. Players changed. Formations changed. Rodri stayed. And City kept winning. That's not a stat you find with most footballers. That's a stat you find with foundations. There's a reason elite coaches build entire systems around players like this. Not the ones who score the goals. The ones who make sure the team never loses control of the game long enough for the other side to punish it. On paper, a perfect fit for how Barcelona want to play. Control the ball. Control the tempo. Never give it away in dangerous areas. Barcelona's identity for over a decade has been built on exactly that kind of control. A midfielder like Rodri doesn't just fit that identity, he could become the clearest embodiment of it since the club's peak years. But Barcelona weren't the only club that wanted him. Real Madrid moved first. Bigger money on the table. Earlier negotiations. Madrid's usual, historical pull on players like this. For a while, this looked done. Madrid have a track record of winning these exact situations. The biggest name on the market, chased by multiple clubs, usually ends up in white. That's not reputation. That's history repeating for 2 decades. And then Rodri made his choice. He wanted Barcelona. Why would a player turn down Real Madrid, the richest, most decorated club in football, for their fiercest rival instead? We'll get there. Barcelona bid 45 million euros. City rejected it. City wanted closer to 68.5 million pounds. Barcelona came back. Still no deal. And Madrid were waiting for the whole thing to collapse. Every week this drags on changes the pressure on all 3 parties. City needs clarity to plan their own midfield. Barcelona needs the deal done before the season starts building momentum. And Madrid needs Barcelona to fail so they can step back in with an offer nobody could match. City dug in. Enzo Maresca, asked directly about it in front of the cameras, gave the kind of answer that tells you everything without confirming anything. No departure confirmed. No departure denied either. That kind of answer isn't neutral. It's calculated. A manager protecting a deal that might still happen without admitting it's already slipping away. But there was one problem Barcelona still hadn't solved. The striker. And after all of that, they still didn't have one. So why Rodri? Why spend this much energy, this much leverage, this much risk on a position that wasn't even broken? Maybe Rodri genuinely makes Barcelona better. Better, even, than any realistic striker signing would have. A player who elevates every single teammate around him just by controlling the tempo of a match. There's a real case here. A midfield that never loses the ball in dangerous areas creates more time, more space, and more clean chances for whoever's playing up front. Even an average finisher scores more when the service around him improves this much. Maybe Barcelona simply couldn't ignore a Ballon d'Or winner sitting on the market at the same time their rivals were circling. In football, some opportunities don't wait for your priorities to line up. Players like this become available once, maybe twice, in a decade. Clubs don't always have the luxury of waiting for the perfect moment. Sometimes the moment is just whenever the opportunity appears. Or maybe, and this is the one nobody wants to say out loud, this was never really about Rodri at all. Maybe this was about beating Real Madrid. Proving a point. Winning a fight that had nothing to do with what the squad actually needed on the pitch. Rivalries do strange things to recruitment. Sometimes the real motivation isn't the 11 players who'll be on the pitch next season. It's the boardroom. It's the headlines. It's making sure the best available player in Europe didn't end up wearing the wrong badge. And that's where this transfer becomes much bigger than Rodri. Carragher summed up City's problem perfectly. Why sell him? You might as well keep him. Because there's no easy replacing what Rodri does for that midfield. They're not just buying Rodri. They're taking him from a club that knows exactly what it's losing. A player it doesn't want to replace. And may not be able to replace. That's not a normal transfer negotiation. That's a club being forced to plan for a future it never wanted to plan for years before it expected to. But there's one problem Barcelona can't solve with money. Barcelona aren't just buying a midfielder. They're buying a player coming back from serious back surgery. An operation that ended his involvement early last season. Recovery that's still ongoing right now as these negotiations play out. Fitness, uncertain. Sharpness, uncertain. And nobody knows yet whether he'll be ready for the new season. Because back in training and back to being the best midfielder in the world are two very different things. There's a version of this story where Barcelona win the transfer battle, pay the fee, get their man, and then spend the opening months of the season managing his minutes, easing him back in, hoping the surgery holds under Champions League intensity. So Barcelona aren't simply betting 50 million euros on Rodri, the player they watched win the Ballon d'Or. They're betting that Rodri can become that player again. That's not a small bet. That's a bet on health, on recovery, on time. And time is exactly what a club with an unresolved striker problem doesn't have much of. There's also the financial side of this that rarely gets mentioned. Barcelona have spent recent years navigating tight financial fair play restrictions. Every major signing has come with complications, leverage plays, and creative accounting just to register new players at all. Adding a 50 million euro midfielder on top of an already strained financial picture isn't just a football decision. It's a financial gamble layered on top of a football gamble. Let's put everything on the table. Still no striker. Spent big anyway. Midfield already stacked, and they added to it regardless. Beat Real Madrid to get him. Bought a player recovering from a serious injury. Doing it all under financial pressure that makes every euro matter more than it used to. Each decision makes sense on its own. Put them together, and the strategy becomes harder to explain. If Rodri works, if the recovery holds, if he slots into that midfield the way everyone expects, Barcelona may have just built the engine that makes every other part of their team click. A midfield so dominant that even the striker problem starts to matter less, because the chances created become too good to waste. If he doesn't, they'll have spent 50 million euros, beaten their biggest rival to a signing, and still be sitting exactly where they started. No number 9. Same problem. More expensive squad. And maybe that's the part Real Madrid couldn't compete with. Rodri didn't just want the biggest club. He wanted Barcelona. Real Madrid wanted Rodri. Barcelona got him. Manchester City didn't want to sell him. And Barcelona still don't have a striker. Because Barcelona may have just signed the player who makes their team better. Or the player who proves they were solving the wrong problem. The number 9 shirt is still empty.